Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about Simple Launcher. Now, Simple Launcher is an emulator front end. It's not an emulator in itself. It's designed to basically gather your ROMs and emulators all in one place and, well, make playing retro games a breeze. And Simple Launcher just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, release version 3.6.0 is the latest update. And in my opinion here, this is a nice quality of life update. For example, they've added different versions of the 7-zip executable for x86 and 64, and they say the extraction method will automatically detect the user environment and use the appropriate executable. On top of that, they added functionality to delete a game file from within the UI, available in the right-click context menu. In addition to that, there's bug fixes and even more here. Simple Launcher is 100% free, it's open source, and like everything I talk about, link will be in the description below right at the bottom if you wanted to learn more about it. Next up, we're talking about the next generation of Android smartphones. Now, a lot of the top-end phones are powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, which is a bit of a controversy in itself given the fact that ARM is taking Qualcomm to court and trying to stop the sale of the Snapdragon 8 Elite. Anyways, here we're seeing more and more performance testing, and specifically here with the AnTuTu benchmark tests. Now, a lot of these phones are breaking records even though they have the exact same chip in them. And a lot of people are wondering what phone to pick up and basing that phone on the AnTuTu scoring. And while yes, the AnTuTu score matters, at the same time here, it's not necessarily the initial score that matters. It's the longevity and how long that chip can continue performing under pressure before thermal throttling. So my advice here is if you are looking for a phone with the best gaming performance possible, a lot of these have the exact same chip, and I wouldn't necessarily rely on the AnTuTu score alone. I'd be looking at a phone with very good cooling. I mean, if you can only game for about 10 or 15 minutes before that chip heats up and starts to thermal throttle, you may not want to consider a phone that does that. I'm not saying the Redmi here does that. I'm not saying the Asus ROG that they compared against is doing that either. I just want to say here, you want to look for a phone that can sustain that level of performance. If you have a gaming session that's, I don't know, like an hour long or something like that, you want to make sure that chip stays cool so it can continue to perform. Now, I don't know about you, but when I normally look at performance numbers, I'm comparing two entirely different chips. I'll look at a previous generation versus the new generation, or two different manufacturers. I'm not normally splitting hairs between different phones running the exact same chip. I would say performance should be relatively comparable if they've got the exact same chip. So ultimately, it would be up to you on which phone to get, but if you're looking strictly at performance, I would say look towards cooling, or possibly look towards the best chip for the least amount of money and then just add a phone cooler or something to it. Otherwise, look for a phone that's rounded out with all of the features you're looking for and go from there. But moving on from that, and next up here, if you're a fan of Star Fox 64 and PC ports, you may be a fan of this news. So here's the announcement. Harbormaster 64 is pleased to announce the development of Starship, a PC port of Star Fox 64. They don't have a release date just yet, but they do have a teaser over on Rakanai's Twitch channel. So heading over to Rakanai's Twitch channel, and it does appear there's a stream that has already been conducted. It's already up for viewing, and it's a little over 2 hours in length. If you are curious about this one and wanted to learn more about it, again, like everything I talk about, link will be in the description below right at the bottom. Based on what I've seen here, I would argue the PC port looks like it's in pretty good shape, and I'm curious to see how it's going to stack up against, for example, the Ship of Harkinian, which is the Ocarina of Time PC port, or Two Ship to Harkinian, which is the Majora's Mask PC port. Overall, I think this is big news for PC ports. Next up, we're talking about Codename Iceman. Kind of. This game was released back in 1989. It's a difficult point-and-click adventure, and there's now a prequel, a fan-made prequel that's just been released, and it's 100% free. The game is up over on itch.io, and it's called Kid Name Ice Boy. The prequel follows patriotic child JW as he embarks on the adventure of his young lifetime, a trip to the U.S. Navy's new submarine camp program. And it's a whopping 36 megabytes, so this game is not very big at all, and it is a point-and-click adventure. Additionally, there's a long play over on YouTube if you wanted to see the game in action, and there's also a Q&A with the developer of this one as well right at the end of the long play. Again, like everything I talk about, links will be in the description below. And speaking about stuff over on YouTube, next up here we're talking about Tatsunoko versus Capcom, the arcade version. And Video Game Esoterica has a brand new video up showcasing this game in action, and the fact fact that the arcade version has been preserved and is now playable for all. This game did start off over in the arcades and then was ported over to consoles, or just one console, and that was the Nintendo Wii. From my understanding here, the console version might actually be better than the arcade version, but at the same time here, I think more people are familiar with the console version than the arcade version. Again, if you wanted to learn more about it, check out Video Game Esoterica's video. Next up, we're talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and the latest news on this game is that it's not going to have DLC, so the team can get Part 3 out as soon as possible. And this is concerning to some, it's not concerning to others. Some people are excited that the game will be released sooner. Other people are a little bit worried here that they may be rushing through this game just to pump it out. So the Daily Star has a number of different quotes, and I think the overall viewpoint is a little bit misleading of no DLC because of this quote here. So that's why we've decided not to focus the development resources on creating additional extra episodes for DLC at the moment. We really are putting all our efforts into getting the third game out as quickly as we can. So for the moment, that's where we're focusing our time. Again, highlighting here, the moment. So I would say here that the title of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth not having DLC is not necessarily entirely accurate or 100% confirmed. Maybe not initially, but maybe they're working on the game just to get it out and then they'll figure out the DLC afterwards. I mean, to me, that would be perfectly normal. But I am also worried here that they are rushing the game just to try to pump it out. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below if you're worried about the game being rushed and what your thoughts are about the DLC. Do you think it will get DLC eventually, or do you think DLC will be completely scrapped? Next up here, we're talking about Half-Life 3, and I was debating on whether or not to talk about this one because there always seems to be some sort of rumor about Half-Life 3. But it appears that Half-Life 3 rumors are being cooked up again, and they actually may have some weight behind them. Now, for those who may not be aware, data mining and research are things in the video game industry, and a lot of people research stuff through data mining, and a lot of people uncover stuff. And it appears that HLX, which is supposed to be Valve's next Half-Life game, is being talked about as Half-Life 3. And Tyler here has a very interesting video on some very recent stuff that was found that Valve may have screwed up and accidentally left uncovered. And it turns out that a lot of this stuff, at least in my opinion, laid the groundwork for Half-Life 3. Again, this all could turn out not to be true here, and it could be nothing. But the video is titled Valve Isn't Trying to Hide Half-Life 3 Anymore, HLX Files Number 5. Take a look at the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below as to whether or not you think there will be a Half-Life 3 in your lifetime, and whether or not Valve is actually working on one. I really think Valve is. I mean, there's a lot of demand out there. They just celebrated Half-Life 2, and I would say here this would make a lot of sense, or a lot of dollars for Valve. Who knows here, but let me know your thoughts. And speaking about a lot of money, next up we're talking about STALKER 2, and this is just a quick update from the official STALKER Twitter account. No wonder it feels a bit crowdy in the zone. 1 million copies were sold, and much more stalkers joined the artifact hunt with Game Pass. 1 million copies of this game sold already, and it was just released. Over on Steam, STALKER 2 is sitting with a mostly positive review score with over 24,000 reviews. And taking a look at SteamDB right now, STALKER 2 is sitting in 9th place overall in terms of people who are currently playing the game at the same time, with 112,529. The last time we looked, I think it was sitting in 12th place. So let me know your thoughts about STALKER 2 in the comments below. Have you had a chance to play it yet? Is it on your wish list? Are you looking forward to it? And what are your thoughts about the overall game? Is it worthy of 1 million sales? Next up, if you've got a Samsung Galaxy device, you may be interested in this news. You may not be, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. Anyways, Samsung has officially launched their cloud gaming platform, and they say nothing is going to be gated behind a paywall, and there is going to be no monthly fee to access the cloud gaming services. Now, based on my understanding, this is true cloud gaming, where users don't have to download and install anything in order to play these games. And it appears they're going after some of the big games first. They have 23 games right now with more to come. And they've targeted games like Monopoly Go, and this one has over 50 million downloads on Google Play. Candy Crush Saga, which has over 1 billion downloads on Google Play. And Homescapes, which has over 1 million downloads on Google Play. While I haven't checked out this service myself, I'm pretty certain that the gaming experience will be a little bit different than having the game locally installed on your device, especially depending on your internet connection. I'm assuming, yes, there will be latency. I'm assuming resolutions might be lowered a little bit for the cloud games here. But who knows, this is a big step forward for mobile devices, for Samsung at the very least. And if you use this, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.